And now for a few more thoughts from Tumor Town before we change into a new century. Here we go with more from me and my crazy head. Bruce here, as always. Um, in the early 90s, before I really, thought video was behind me, I did steal into another video uh, client. It worked out weird because um, I had been involved in the 90s with the Florida Motion Picture and Television Association. It was a local, trade group, trying to support the indigenous filmmaking community. I had become the president of the Orlando chapter. Through the whole Hollywood East thing, it grew like a wildflower, and we did conventions, we had banquets, we did our own awards thing, all sorts of stuff. We even had our awards thing on PBS statewide a couple times. But in the end, it was all for naught because the state wouldn't recognize the indigenous film community. They were more interested in people coming from outside and spending tourist dollars than they were in cultivating an indigenous, filmmaking community. So we won some wars, but battles, I should say, won some battles, but we lost the war. Even though I fought hard and heavy against all the big wigs in the state, but that was beside the point. But at any rate, the state president of the FMPTA was a big wrestling junkie, and he hooked me up with a guy, Jerry Gray, who was doing a wrestling event at the Central Florida Fair, and he wanted to videotape it to put it on, public access cable. So, okay, fine, So we go out there to do it, and his commentator doesn't show up. So I end up doing my best impersonation of of Gordon Soley for the next hour and a half, whatever. And that was funny. And the people he had hired were people I knew, which was really funny. They were hams. They were all hams, to be the color guy who's the bad manager guy, bad mouthing with his little sidekick, this and that. And I got a friend of mine who happened to be the assistant to the mayor who loved wrestling. I got him to come down and be, a bad guy and actually go out onto the ring and usher, go in there and, manage one of the bad guys, which he loved. I mean, he got such a charge out of that, that was the thing. And it was really funny. I mean, we did a good job, and this guy, John, who took over for me and switched the cameras in the van, did the live switch and everything. Oh, I hear thunder. I mean, he did a great job switching the show. But I mean, if you watch it today, and I still have it, it's just funny as heck. Because I mean, our dialogue, our commentary, you never see me on camera ever, but it's just hilarious. I mean, we were over the top. But, we did it. And, I edited it together for him, posted it up, and sure enough, it aired. And that led me to Eddy and Eddy Mansfield. You can look him up if you want. And Eddy was trying to start a competitive wrestling deal at the time called the International Wrestling Federation. Now, Eddy, is a great booker. I mean, he can think storylines in wrestling really, really well. He's got a really great head on his shoulders for that. And he also was the one who thought, hey, let's do this at Universal. That way they can just bring people in from the park, fill the seats, we tape an hour, they go away, I get a new audience, we tape, blah, blah, blah. That was Eddy's idea. You'll see a lot of the wrestling people do it now, today, just as a matter of course. But that was Eddy who did that. So he wanted to do this, so he hooked up with me to do the video side of it. And, being an old wrestling junkie, what could I do? It was freaking awesome. So we did it. and it was just absolutely hilarious and an absolute ball. I enjoyed every minute of it. It was stressful. I mean, we're under the gun, very little money, tight time frames, but we never missed a beat. Did all the interviews out in the theme park, then did the wrestling matches, edited them all together for time, got them to fill, pushed them out the door. It was great, you know. And I had my team with me, Howard, Mike, Vivek, Matt, So it was just a wonderful little jog, that I think we did. I can't remember. We did 70, 80 shows, something like that. And just really, just really loved doing it. It was a hoot. And that, of course, led to other things with Eddie in the 90s because, Eddie was trying to compete, but he didn't have the budget, to create the look and the style that the WWE and the NWA were throwing out at that time. There was just no way you were going to compete with that. Just no way, Nice idea, but no way. So, that ran its course. But you couldn't keep Eddie down. Eddie kept coming back with shows. He came back with a show, Crime Scene, which was about juvenile crime, recreating these horrendous juvenile crimes and talking to the victims, the police that were involved, this kind of thing, one of these reenactment kind of shows. And I think we did one season of that. He came up with a syndicated style of like MTV for country western called Sizzlin' Hot Country. We did 2 seasons worth of that. We shot all the wraparounds in and around Universal, using Universal characters as gags and whatnot, and that was okay. And then we did, I think we did another show, I can't remember what that was. Then we did a show called Kids in Motorsports. Now, that was a great idea. It was a show about kids, racing. Go-karts, dragsters, motorcycles, bikes, you name it, right? And I thought, this is really a great idea. Now, the way Eddie went about it may have not have been the right idea to me. But, I got brought in late. Just, hey, will you come in and direct this, Oh, okay. So he had already done his set and everything else. And he had John Andretti as his host. He'd never done anything before, but God bless him, he managed to get it out. And he had this sidekick, I can't remember his name, Kid something or other, that would be goofy and stupid, that would do little things, and get little points across about, racing and information you needed to know. So we went in, and I quickly realized that the way they had written the script, there was no way John Andretti was going to read those things in one take. No freaking way. Not going to happen off a teleprompter. I immediately stopped everything, told Connie, she was always with me, as a script supervisor, whatever. I said, we got you and me and this other girl. We're going to go over in the corner and we're going to hack this thing down. And we did. I mean, we hacked every show, all 13, bam, 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 to where this guy could actually do it. And he did. And it made a whole world of difference. So we did that. And we came up with gags for the kid, because nobody had really thought that through. So I had to come up with a gag that could run through each show for the kid, So we did that. Figured that out. And then they had this segment they wanted to do, the Doctor of Autoology. And the guy they had was very knowledgeable, but he was just dead as toast on camera. And he kept, when are we coming to my part? I'm going to get you, I'm going to get you. And I saved him for the very, very end. And everybody thought I was a loon, because when I shot him, I said, just do your stuff. Just do it, deliver it, go for it, and don't worry about the cameras. And I told the cameras, I said, one guy, I said, everybody, just move, move, move. I don't care. Whip pans, you know, swish zooms, you name it. Dutch angles, rolls, anything, everything. Keep it moving all the time. Just go crazy, you know? And that's what we did. And they kind of thought, what the hell am I doing? You know? But in order for me to make this guy's segment work, I was going to have to dice him up hard. Slice and dice out of context, back and forth, and turn him into kind of a Max Headroom, if you will. You know, that was the only way he was going to work. And when we ended up getting into the editing, that's exactly what we did. And it did work, believe it or not. Worked like a charm. Turned him into something he wasn't. So the show's actually worked out. Me and my buddy Vivek, we edited them, got them all done, got it finished. And I know they aired around the country here and there. And I think they might still be airing in places today. And that was great. You know, I wish it would have gone further because I thought it was a great idea for a show, one that didn't exist, and the kids were nicely represented. But you know, it was what it was. So, and that was about the last I worked with Eddy. I heard from him over the subsequent years here and there, where he'd come up with an idea or two, you know, that we're gonna do. They would never really come to fruition, you know. But you know, that's the way Eddy kind of worked. But you know, Eddy never gave up, you know, never stopped trying, and you got to hand him credit for that, you know. And you know, at least I got to do the wrestling, which was, you know, something I'll never forget, you know, because I still just laugh and love that because I got involved in making up the shtick and interacting with the guys, and it was just fun. It was just funny and fun. I enjoyed the heck out of it. So that was my deal with Eddy, and that brings us pretty much, I think, up to 1995, 96, where the pivot takes place. And we'll get into that next. Peace and hang 10.